Welcome everyone to a wonderful, nice new episode of the Hempy Talks. Every week, I'm trying to invite you very interesting people from all over the world who are very passionate about industrial hemp, but also who are creating something new, something that might have been best practice couple decades back, but somehow now we don't really have those examples and those success stories. So here we go with another super nice example, and I take the opportunity to welcome Kitty and Claire from the UK to introduce us, to tell us more about Hempery. And before that, just for you to know that our intention with these talks is to inspire you, that to learn from the stories, to get inspired and create your own project, dream up your own industrial hemp business. So having said that, Claire and Kitty, thank you so much for being here. And tell me, as a very first question, let me ask you, how did industrial hemp enter your life?
Kind of by accident. So I think it was about three Christmases ago now. Claire had just moved to a new place in Suffolk, and I was up here around Christmas time. We were having a few glasses of wine, and she was telling me about a book she was reading all about pre-mechanized farming in this area, and how industrial hemp for textiles was such a huge industry in the area she's just moved to. I'm a textile artist, so I've always been interested in weaving with hemp. And then Claire said, why don't we grow some? And it was kind of like a magic spell was cast. And after that, then we got the license and had the seeds in the ground the following May, and found a farm just up the road, the oldest established agroforestry farm in Europe, the guy who runs it just said, yes, we can use the land, we can grow it there, and in return we have to produce him a hemp shirt. So yeah, everything was, this project wanted to start.
It was like the stars aligned. As soon as we said we wanted to do it, it just happened. We felt really like it was kind of running along, and we were just running along after it, whatever we wanted it. It was like almost like we weren't directing the project. It was directing itself.
That's wonderful to see how things are evolving when things are aligned, you know.
Yes.
And just wondering, because Kitty, you mentioned you have experience with the textiles. Do you also have, Claire, this connection with the textile or farming, or with what's your closest connection with hemp as a plant?
Absolutely none whatsoever. No, I mean, I'm really a jeweler, so my work is with metal and minerals. Actually, my grandfather was a farmer, but I've never done any farming before, and I've never really had any connection with textile at all. So it really came out of the blue.
Wonderful.
That's the reality. It wasn't a dream that either of us had. Oh, if only we could start a hemp farm. It just sort of started.
Yeah, when we initially had that conversation as well, I thought it would just be like a fun year growing a small amount of hemp as a project, but it just wanted to be something so much more than that.
Wow, that's great, you know, and that's very interesting as well. And how was your first harvest?
Unbelievably amazing. I think I don't know if we'll ever have a crop as good as we did first year, but it grew in about 2.5 months. It was sometimes growing 2.5 centimeters every single day. It was a year we had extreme heat waves, so it didn't rain all summer, and this crop just grew and grew and grew. It was all even. It was all over 6 feet tall. It was a beautiful hemp forest. It was unreal.
Yeah, that was the first year. After that, it wasn't quite the same. There was something about, I think it was a combination of the piece of ground that we used that year and the climate. You know, the hemp really loved the heat, doesn't it? So it just took right off.
Right. What happened after the harvest? Because many of the farmers get stuck after the harvest. They don't really know what to do with the processing part, you know. So even people interested in having a textile production, you know, and there would be land that they could use to process it, but the processing part it gets really difficult. So how did you overcome that challenge?
You are absolutely correct. And in the UK, there are no mechanical, well, it's not quite true. There are 1 or 2 big decorticating plants, but of course, they produce the short cottonized fiber. which we don't really want. We are looking for long, fiber for wet spinning. So that first year we built hand tools, just as we'd seen on, engravings from the 1700s. And we just did it all by hand. We only had, how much was that first field? Like half an acre?
0.7 of an acre.
Oh, 0.7 of an acre. So, it wasn't a huge amount. And we invited people to the farm. We worked with community, and we just processed it by hand.
I think because as well, like when we started this, it was just interesting for us. We were learning so much. We became really passionate about it. It wasn't like we need an outcome, we need a product, we need to make money. Like we weren't really thinking about that at all. We soon very quickly realised there was no mechanical processing in the UK to produce the textile we wanted. And just by, like Claire just said, just using like upcycled materials and the community around us, we built old machinery like they would have used hundreds of years ago. And it's so amazing what we achieved that first year with little money, little knowledge, and just the materials and the people around us. For example, we got to a spinning day. We got to the fibre stage, and then we realised we needed it to be spun into yarn. Quickly realised there's no mills that will spin 100% plant fibres in the UK. So we put the word out on social media and contacted different spinning groups, and around about 50 spinners turned up from all over the UK. Claire lives in a chapel, so had the space to host them, and all these women and one man came, and two men they were there, came and spinning our hemp away all afternoon, laughing, having so much fun, just for the love of spinning it. And from that we went on to naturally dye it and produce a very small but significant piece of fabric. So that was the first year, really.
Yeah, we think that piece of, because this area that we're growing in, that we live in, was the centre of the historical hemp for textile industry in the UK. So maybe from 1500 up to the middle 1800s, there was huge amounts of hemp being grown here, and it was grown for textile. Whenever I talk about this, people immediately go, "Oh, were they making ropes and sacks?" And it's like, no, they were making beautiful textiles for clothing and for household linens, for, sheets and bedding and so on. So we are in that area, but people have forgotten about this industry in a bizarre sort of way. It's just really been forgotten.
Yes. What I love about your story, and I truly find it super inspirational, because you bring back the feeling of community. That you said 50 people, women and men, they showed up because they wanted to be part of that community, spinning and just be together in that.
It was so fun at the end of the day. They left us all the yarn. They didn't take any of it. They just wanted to do the spinning, and they all said, when can we do this again? It's been so much fun to have a whole room of people just giving out this energy and spinning away. Like Kitty said, laughing, and it was a really fantastic day. And we have found that actually we've had community processing days, community harvest days, the spinning day. We've run 2 harvest retreats where we invite people to the farm for the whole weekend to harvest the hemp with us, and to do workshops with spinning and dyeing and weaving and so on.
And we invite different people to do talks, and we have music. It's a big 3-day hemp textile party, basically. It's great.
But that working in community has been an absolute revelation to me. I've never worked like that before. And it's fantastic. We're inviting people to come and help us with the harvest and putting on a fun weekend for them. So they have to pay to come, because we provide all the food and the entertainment and everything. But it's a real two-way thing. They're putting their effort in to get the crop harvested, and we're providing all the fun and the food and everything. And it's delicious. It's really lovely.
Absolutely. That community part is just phenomenal, and something that our grandparents probably, they have lived in it, like it was a daily reality for them. And for us, it's a little bit forgotten because of the current reality we are living in, just so surrounded by technology, so much of attention grabbers around us.
We did realize, actually, so we built these old tools, and it's hard work, Beatrix. It is really hard work. And you think, well, back in the day, 150 years ago, there were probably 25 fit young men working on that farm. And so that muscle power, it was just available. It was there. But if there's only a few of you, it's very, very, it takes a long time. But so the great thing about working in those days is very hard work. People worked extremely hard, and they had very few days off, and they didn't get paid very much, but they were surrounded by the community all the time. And I think, you know, there's got to be a payoff, and perhaps we've gone too far the other way. So the farm that we grow on is only 56 acres. It's a very small farm, but it supports a lot of people doing interesting projects. Maybe the 25 or 26 of us up there doing different things with the land. Whereas the farm that surrounds us is 1,000 acres, and it's the guy that owns it, and he has one man that works for him who's on his own in a tractor most of the time. So,
and that's about, is that 100 acres?
1,000 acres.
1,000 acres, yeah.
So it's 1,000 acres, one worker, 56 acres, 25 people. So, you know, our little farm, it's not our farm, we don't own the farm, but the farm we're working on has got this fantastic community, supportive people, and it's very different from the big industrial farms that surround us.
Yes, and that's also very good that you shared that. Thank you so much, because that also makes a big difference of how communities can support each other. I'm very interested, after you mentioned with the decortication, they are getting the short cotton fibers, and what you were getting and what you were after they were the long ones. So in terms of the textiles, what would be the difference between the two? What did you notice?
Well, I think the longer fibers, because they are long fibers, they should be being spun using long fibers. I think it keeps the quality. Historically, that is how linen was made, whether it was from hemp or flax, those long fibers were being spun. And from just our own personal experience of processing those fibers, the long fibers feel so soft and silky, like a pony's tail, and it's such a beautiful light colour. And when we got some hemp decorticated last year, it just felt horrible. It just had a completely different, it wasn't as soft, it was a lot more coarse, it had loads of wood bits in it. And I think we did that because we got told we could do a hemp wool blend in the UK. It turns out that fibre wasn't even suitable for that here. So I don't know. I'm not sure if there are any mills in Europe or in the rest of the world that spin 100% the short fibres, but from what I know, so I think it's just the long fibres they spin.
The short fibres they use for insulation and all those other industrial processes, but for I think it has to be blended. You know, you can blend it with cotton or blend it with wool and then have it spun.
Actually, I think Magic is spinning 100%. Is he doing 100%?
I don't think he is. No.
Is it still blended with cotton?
I think so.
Yes, so it has to be blended then.
Yeah,
right.
But you certainly can't blend the long fibre. But when we got the decorticated fibre back from the mill, from the plant, it had this sort of a dead feeling about it, like it's been smashed, right? It's been mashed and smashed through these huge machines. When you feel the long fibre that we make, it feels alive. It has this beautiful quality to it. It's literally, you've just taken it from the plant. You haven't had to beat it into submission, and it has a very different feeling.
Yes, this is a very similar experience what I had when just a few weeks ago I visited the Hungarian. It's I think the oldest remaining factory where they used to have the hemp stalks rotting in water, and then because of that they could have the long fibers. And that was really the case. Like, we could see the difference between those, that they was going through the difficult process. It was really a different kind of fiber than those decorticated ones. So absolutely,
it really feels lovely, doesn't it?
Yes.
To me, it just has an aliveness about it, and I think that carries through to the fabric when you feel 100% long, wet spun. Fabric that's been made from that yarn. It has a really, you have to touch it to know what I'm talking about. It's just got this beautiful, alive feeling, and it's going to last you. I mean, this is incredibly long, hard-wearing material.
Yes.
Yeah, we were in a village not too far from here to see some of the old linen hemp fabrics that they were making from about the 1830s to the 1920s, and you could feel the power of this 100% hand spun with the long fibers hemp cloth. It had like the shimmer to it. It was kind of like silk. It was so beautiful. These were fabrics that were made for the royal family, and yeah, they held some sort of powerful energy for sure. You could really feel the quality, and they're so old now, and they were still in such good condition. And
yeah, some of them nearly 200 years old.
yeah, amazing.
Altar cloths and tablecloths have been made for Queen Victoria, that kind of thing. This quality of them, you just couldn't believe it. It's extraordinary. And when I talk to people, we're growing hemp for textile, and you know that they think you're making something rough, you know.
Yes.
And then I think if only they could see this fabric. It is literally, it's like a silken tablecloth for Queen Victoria, made from 100% hand spun and hand woven hemp.
Wow. Those historical elements, they really like just so precious.
So precious.
Yes.
So precious, because it's an illustration of what this fiber can do.
Yes. And after you processed it, you had this lovely community experience, and then you made your first hemp shirt or hemp pants or something out of it. How was that?
We've not quite got to that point yet.
Okay.
So first year, everything was done completely by hand, and
Yes.
I don't know how many hours that was, but that was a lot of hours. And we have a very small piece of fabric that's in an exhibition in London at the moment, which could be the first 100% hemp cloth in this area in the UK for 100 years maybe.
Yeah.
And then last year we decided to corticate our hemp so we could get it spun. That all just went badly wrong, and we ended up with a big bag of fibre that we couldn't do anything with. This year, although at first we didn't think our crop didn't grow that well, it was a bit poorly, but this year we've just processed our first bit of fibre. We think it's going to be the softest, high quality, beautiful, fine fibre. So we need to decide what we're going to do with it next. We're going to get to the fibre stage and then potentially take it to France maybe, to be spun there, someone where they know what they're doing, and then by bringing that yarn back and creating something really beautiful with it, hopefully that's going to encourage something to be set up here. But I'd say our next goal within the next year is to create a statement piece, kind of showcasing what hemp fabric could be. Like, we want it to be colourful, we want it to be full of pattern, we want to be able to express who we are through that, and just really showcase what hemp can be, hopefully being some sort of fine linen.
Yeah, what we don't want to do is make meters and meters and meters of plain hemp fabric, which is a sort of beige or black and looks like linen, and you can't tell the difference.
Yeah.
We're trying to make something really extraordinary.
Yes, and I love that. I love your personal connection with it, and I love your strive for excellence, so called, because true, so many people get this, that when it's hemp, then it should be rough. This is hemp cotton, but because of the cotton is soft. But I know what you're talking about, because I had that, some fabric like that with the 100% purely hemp and very soft and very nice. So that makes a big difference. And once you wear it, you cannot ever confuse it with linen. So
No.
absolutely.
We were at a fabric exhibition called Future Fabrics in London last year, actually. They had all sorts of innovative new fabrics, but also there was one company and they were showing a lot of different weights of hemp. Some of it was so fine, if you hold it up to the light, you can see it through it. Incredibly fine lawn. I don't know, you might make a baby's christening dress or something like that from it. It's so fine, 100% hemp, and people just don't realize, what you can get from it. I was I do a lot of historical research around hemp, and I've got a book over there which was from 1724. And he's writing in it that he says persons of quality and fashion prefer the hempen cloth. So we're sticking with that now. Persons of quality and fashion.
Absolutely, yes. And it was really a great time, to talk to you. I'm really thanking you, even though it was a brief introduction to Hempery. But I kind of feel that we got the essence of it, that Hempery is after quality and also after introducing industrial hemp fabric in a very genuine, elegant way that has the community spirit in it.
Yes.
Which is very powerful in all its levels of the messaging. So I would like to wish Hempery to grow, to expand the way you see it growing and expanding, and looking forward, to see the hemp fabric that you will come up with. And also maybe, one day we meet in person as
That would
well,
be great.
because that
Yeah.
would also be a very nice experience. And I would like to say thank you for everyone staying with us and listening to us, to this conversation. And we are really hoping that you are also going to do some research around industrial hemp, go back into the history, find out something that really connects you with this plant, and maybe you also start creating, or maybe you connect with Hempery and connect with other hemp businesses from all over the world to learn more, to educate yourself more, and that will help you to move to the next stage. And who knows, when the stars are aligned and the universe, everything is going to fall in place. So thank you so much for being here, and thank you so much for listening to Hempy Talks. Next week I'm going to welcome you with another interesting episode, with another interesting story. So tune in again. And Claire and Kitty, thank you so much for being here.
Thank you so much.
Thank you so much.